Excuse me, what do you think you're doing? The voice was sharp, dripping with disbelief. Heads turned as a tall woman in an emerald gown stood by the champagne table, clutching a torn sleeve of silk fabric in her hand. Across from her, a young black woman stood frozen, eyes wide, hand pressed to the torn side of her dress. I didn't do anything, the young woman stammered. The older woman sneered. Oh, don't play dumb. I saw you pretending to blend in with the guests. You think you can sneak in here to get free drinks? My husband owns half this event. Gasps rippled through the glittering ballroom. The young woman's name was Ava Monroe, a 28-year-old fashion designer from Atlanta. She'd been invited personally to this charity gala by the event organizer, a client who'd fallen in love with her boutique's bold African fusion gowns. But none of that mattered now, because at this moment, under the crystal chandelier of the Lexington Grand Hotel, Ava stood with her heart pounding, surrounded by silent, judging eyes. And the woman in front of her, the one who had just ripped her custom gown in half, was Vanessa Whitmore, wife of one of New York's richest investors. Hello, everyone. Before we begin today's video, we want to thank you for your support, love, and kindness. We wouldn't have come this far without you. Subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue to bring you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing collectively. Where are you watching from? Drop your city and country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story. Ava had dreamed of this night for years. Her invitation was more than an honor. It was an opportunity to meet future investors and luxury buyers. Her new line, Roots and Radiance, had been featured in small magazines but hadn't yet broken to the high fashion circle. And now, standing there humiliated, she felt her vision crumble. I said, "Who let you in here?" Vanessa repeated, her tone loud enough to echo across the room. "Security. Can someone remove her before she embarrasses herself further?" The crowd whispered. Someone laughed softly. Ava blinked away tears. She wanted to speak, to defend herself, but her throat closed up. She'd been mistaken for staff before, waiters, servers, assistants, but never like this, never with such venom. "Ma'am," she finally managed, voice trembling, "I'm actually one of the invited guests." She pulled her gold-trimmed pass from her clutch. "You can check my name. Ava Monroe." Vanessa snatched the pass, read it, and scoffed. "You printed this at home, didn't you?" "Oh, please, Ava Monroe. Sounds made up. Who wears that to a high society gala?" The irony was cruel. Ava had designed the very dress Vanessa had just torn, the same designer boutique had become known for. A warm hand suddenly landed on Ava's shoulder. "Ma'am, please step aside," a security guard said, looking uncomfortable. "We just need to verify." Vanessa smirked, sipping her champagne. "Told you, always pretending to belong." Ava's fingers clenched her clutch. Every part of her wanted to shout, to tell them she belonged more than anyone in that room. But she stayed silent, because dignity, her grandmother used to say, is louder than rage. Minutes later, Ava found herself standing outside in the cold corridor, holding the torn remains of her gown while the ballroom music played faintly behind her. She took a deep breath, fighting tears. Her hands shook as she dialed the only person she trusted at moments like this, her best friend, Naomi. "They kicked you out?" Naomi's voice burst through the phone, furious. "Ava, are you serious? After all the work you put into this event?" Ava's lips trembled. "She ripped my dress, and I just grabbed it, said I looked like I was trespassing. Did anyone stand up for you?" "No," Ava whispered. "Not one." Her voice broke. She sank onto a bench, head in her hands. Around her, hotel staff passed by with sympathetic glances. Naomi's silence on the phone said it all. Finally, she spoke. "Ava, listen to me. Don't leave. Wipe your face. Fix your dress. Get back in there and stand tall. You deserve to be seen." Ava looked down at her reflection in her phone screen, mascara streaked, eyes red. "It's ruined." "No, it's not. You made that dress, right? Then make them see who you are." Something flickered inside her chest, a tiny ember of defiance. She got up, straightened her shoulders, and walked back toward the ballroom. Back inside, the lights had dimmed for charity auction. Vanessa was now seated at the VIP table beside her husband, Richard Whitmore, a silver-haired investor known for his booming voice and colder heart. As the next auction item was announced, the presenter smiled. Ladies and gentlemen, our next special piece was created by an emerging designer, Ava Monroe, a blend of heritage and modern elegance. Vanessa froze. Richard leaned forward. Did they say Ava Monroe? Vanessa's fingers tightened around her champagne glass. The spotlight turned toward the runway where Ava now stood, her torn gown mended with a golden shawl she'd fashioned from a table draped backstage. Her poise was quiet but electric. This collection was inspired by strength after humiliation, the host said. Tonight, she wears her own creation. A wave of whispers swept across the room. Ava walked past Vanessa's table, head high, eyes forward. Vanessa's jaw dropped as a designer she just humiliated glided by with elegance that silenced the crowd. Richard Whitmore leaned back in astonishment. Wait, she's a designer? You tore the designer's dress. Vanessa's face drained of color. Backstage, as applause erupted, Ava stood under the warm lights, chest rising and falling. But the night wasn't done. As guests rose to bid for her collection, a deep voice came from the side of the stage. Ms. Monroe. She turned, and there was a man in a tuxedo standing beside two event organizers. His gaze was firm yet kind. I'm Daniel Langford, founder of Langford Holdings, he said, extending his hand. I just watched what happened out there. That was the most graceful thing I've seen all evening. Ava blinked. You saw that? Every bit of it, Daniel said softly. And if that's how you handle humiliation, I can only imagine how you handle success. He handed her his card. Come see me Monday morning. Let's talk partnership. Ava stood frozen, tears pooling in her eyes. For the first time that night, she smiled. Back at the VIP table, Vanessa sat motionless as her husband watched the same scene unfold. You embarrassed this entire family tonight, Richard muttered under his breath. She turned pale. I didn't know who she was. That's the problem, he said coldly. You never look before you judge. The music swelled as Daniel escorted Ava toward the red carpet exit. Photographers now snapping photos of the designer everyone wanted to know. But behind her, Vanessa Whitmore sat in silence, humiliated in the same ballroom where she'd once stood proud. The Monday sun spilled across Manhattan's skyline as Ava stepped out of a black car and walked into Langford Holdings, her heart thudding beneath her blazer. It still felt surreal. The weekend's chaos had gone viral overnight. Someone at the gala had filmed the moment Vanessa tore her gown, then captured Ava's runway walk afterward. The clip hit social media like wildfire, tagged with hashtag Grace Over Hate. Millions had watched. Fashion magazines were calling her the designer who turned humiliation into art. And now, Daniel Langford, one of New York's most influential investors, wanted to meet. She straightened her shoulders as the elevator doors opened to the top floor. Daniel greeted her warmly. Ms. Monroe, he said, rising from his seat. Or should I say, the woman everyone's been talking about. Ava smiled nervously. It's been overwhelming, honestly. Daniel gestured for her to sit. I don't want to waste your time. I saw the way you handled yourself that night. Calm, composed. That kind of grace is rare in business. And it's exactly what I invest in. Ava blinked. You mean? I want to partner with you, Daniel said, sliding a folder across the table. Langford Holdings will back your brand, roots and radiance, with full production funding and a nationwide campaign. Her breath caught. You're serious? Completely. And before you say no, I already called my friend at Vogue. They're interested in a feature. Ava's throat tightened. She tried to speak, but words failed. Sometimes, Daniel said quietly, the worst humiliation becomes the loudest introduction. Tears welled in her eyes. She nodded, whispering, Thank you. Across town, in a penthouse overlooking Central Park, Vanessa Whitmore's world was falling apart. The viral video had reached every corner of the internet. Her face, twisted in arrogance, voice filled with venom, was splashed across gossip sites. Socialite mocks black designer. Instant karma at charity gala. Richard slammed the newspaper onto the table. You've embarrassed me. Vanessa, our investors are furious. My name is trending for the wrong reasons. She winced. It was a misunderstanding. Richard, I thought she was staff. That's not the point, he snapped. Do you even realize who she is? She's now partnered with Langford Holdings, my competitor. Her mouth fell open. What? And he added sharply, Langford already announced they're pulling out of our upcoming fashion sponsorship. You've cost us millions. Vanessa's hands trembled. Please, I'll fix it. I'll apologize. Richard gave her a cold look. You had your chance that night. Now you'll do it publicly. And you'll mean every word. The next morning, every major network aired the story. Vanessa stood at a press conference, hands clasped, voice shaking before the cameras. I want to sincerely apologize to Ms. Ava Monroe, she began, tears streaking her mascara. My actions were ignorant, hurtful, and inexcusable. I let prejudice speak louder than decency. I hope she can find it in her heart to forgive me. Reporters fired questions. Mrs. Whitmore, did your husband force you to apologize? Do you think your wealth made you feel above others? She stammered, trying to answer, but the cameras captured it all. The trembling lips, the regret, the downfall, across the city. Ava watched from her studio as a live broadcast played. Naomi glanced over. You gonna respond? Ava sighed. No, I don't need to. The world already knows. She turned back to her sketches. My revenge was surviving with grace. 3 months later, Roots and Radiance debuted its first full collection in partnership with Langford Holdings. The launch event was breathtaking, a luminous runway inside a botanical conservatory, blending African-inspired textures with New York elegance. Guests filled the seats. Investors, editors, celebrities, even the mayor attended. As the lights dimmed, the audience gasped at the final walk. Ava herself appeared, wearing a reimagined version of the gown that Vanessa had torn, now mended with gold thread and shining like a symbol of triumph. When the applause thundered, Ava stepped to the mic. This dress, she said, was once a reminder of humiliation, but tonight, it's a reminder that pain doesn't define you. Your response does. The room erupted. Cameras flashed. Daniel Langford smiled from the front row, pride gleaming in his eyes. But then, a quiet movement in the back of the room. Vanessa Whitmore stood there, modestly dressed, watching. Her eyes glistened. When Ava's gaze met hers, she mouthed, "Thank you." Ava gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. Not a friendship, but a release. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. It meant freedom. Later that night, after the runway and interviews, Ava stood alone outside under the cool city breeze. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Miss Monroe, this is Daniel. There's someone you need to meet. He's from Vera Vogue, and he wants to make your story the headline feature of the year. Are you free tomorrow? Ava smiled faintly at the skyline. The same city that once humiliated her now stood at her feet. She whispered to herself, Grace always wins. As she turned to leave, the camera panned upward past the glittering city lights to a glowing billboard displaying her latest collection. The caption read, Roots and Radiance. Strength never goes out of style. Prejudice may destroy reputations, but grace rebuilds empires. The true power lies not in wealth, but in the dignity to rise above humiliation.